Welcome to movie number 2. We're working with an Acrobat format of putting the file together. Now, there's just one little error that you may do, as I did in that previous movie, is that I had this selected, okay? And what that's going to do is when we go publishing or outputting to a PDF from Artboards, it's going to make one page. So to get all the pages, make sure that you don't have that selected. So I've just clicked into the background here. Now I've got all the pages. Okay, so if you ended up with one page before, which is good to test out, just make sure you deselect everything. So we now go just to export, and I'm just going to come through here, export artboard to PDF once more, and I'll just run that file. So it's just running through, it's doing all the pages, and it'll come up with a successful note. So that's great, so I can go OK. Now what I'm going to do is just going to minimize my Photoshop Artboards layout now, and the two files of PDF. I've got one completed and one that's come in. I'm just going to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to open them both up, and I'm going to go no, because I'm telling this to go full screen, and I'll cover that in a little bit. But essentially this is what we've got. We've got all of our pages. If I scroll through there, we've all 4 pages, making sure that no one was selected. And it's essentially not ideally what we want. What we want is this. In fact, here's the file that comes in, and it always loads up to fit the right size of the document, the page, the screen, and it's also interactive, and we're just jumping through even out to the web page, which I demonstrated earlier. So I'll just close that. So how do we do this? And for a start, we need to get the page set up so it's going to work. I'm going to come back to my app. Now this is the completed one, so I've used a different font for that, just to make that clear as well. So let's get this sorted out. Now I can just zoom in like that, that will fit the page. But really, to make sure it always happens like that, we need to come up, and I'm going to just go to my file, and I'm going to come down here in Acrobat DC Pro or Pro DC to File and Properties. And what we really want here is, in the initial view, there's a lot of other settings. Big program Acrobat does lots, but really outside of the scope of this movie for a lot, I just want to concentrate on getting this one done. So I'm going to come through here and magnification, always fit page. Secondly, I just wanted to center in the screen, make it nice and smooth and even and good, and centered in the screen. 1, 2. Now, opening in full screen mode, all we need to do is this. Okay, and I'm just going to go OK. And I'm just going to go File, and I'm just going to go Save. So it's saved now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to close this. So I'll just close all my tabs, and I'm just going to bring it back in and open it up again. And here we are. If I bring it into the view here, it's open to fit that page perfectly to whatever that page was scaled to. Be it larger or smaller, it will fit the page. Let's get into the interactive side of things. Now, one thing that you might have had a problem with, you might decide, I didn't want that order. Well, frankly, I do, but if you don't, or you want to change it, just come to Tools, and you'll see there's tons of tools in Acrobat Pro, from rich media to embedding interactive 3D to video files to measurement to preparing forms. It goes on and on. Really the important tool for print production as well. And within the YouTube channel, you'll find quite a series of videos on that, quite a large one with a range put together for pre-press output. Anyway, coming back to this video, we've got organized pages. So I'll go open, and what I can do is delete pages. I can even add in other pages, but essentially you can move your pages around wherever you want, should that be the case. So it's just organized pages. When you want to go back out of that, just click on the cross there. But what we want is interactive. So I'm going to come back with this, go to Tools, and to get my interactive tools at a simple level anyway, all I need is just open this Edit PDF. So I'll click on that, and you'll see there's this extra toolbar here. Now really the one that I want for the purpose of this movie, making it really nice and easy, is just doing simple links. Now you can even embed buttons and rollover states, all sorts of things within the program. Again, a little bit outside the scope of this video, but you'd need separate files, PDF files for that, button size files. Anyway, I'm just going to click on link just to work with this. And the one that I'm using for everything today is just edit web or document link, because that's really what we want to do. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm on my home page. So I don't need to make a button state for this one, really. All I want to do is now go to the home button. So I'm just going to click and drag a square box around this and just let go. And what it's coming up with, in this case, it might be visible or invisible, but you want it invisible, otherwise you're going to get a black line or like so around there. So you can have line thicknesses, maybe that's what you want. So thick, thin, medium. You can do things like invert or outline or inset. What I'm going to do is I want it to be just an invisible outline. You can even do dashed or underline as well if that's a good way of doing it. But I'm going to go invisible. And you see this gets grayed out. By the way, you can change that to colors, different colors as well. Anyway, I'm just going to have for my highlight, I want to have it just inset, just for this example. And by default, it's just going to page view because I want to go to another page. And if you're doing the web view, like I indicated earlier with the example, all you do is put a open web page and then just give it a web URL. I'll quickly demonstrate that in a little bit, but I'm just going to get a couple of buttons rolling so we see how this works. So go to page view. So all this is good. Next. So there's my link tool, and well, set link. Well, where is it going? Well, what you need to do is, and use your arrow keys to do that. We're on page 1. Page 1 is sort of grayed out. Can't go any further upwards because there's nowhere else to go. We're on page 1. I want to go to page 2. Click this. Now we're on page 2, and I go set link. When you want to test this, just come back from your button states here and just go to your hand tool. So it's jumped back to page 1. So if I click on that, push, I've jumped to page 2. Okay, so I'll just click back again, home page and about page. So that's pretty easy. Let's go back the other way. So I'm just going to make sure I'm on page 2. I'm on page 2, I can see that. Also the about page. So I'm going to come back to my link tool and I'm going to click on the link here. And now I'm going to put a state because I'm on the about page. I don't need a state there. I'm going to put a button. And it's already holding onto the setups, the preferences we've already set, which is great. So all I need to do is just go next. Set link. Well, now I can go upwards. Remember that was grayed out because I'm on page 2. So I'll go back to page 1 and I'll go set link. And then come back to the hand tool to see how that's working. Okay, so I'm on the about page. I can now go to 1, I can go to 2, back to 1, back to 2. So that's great. Now essentially all you do therefore is just go through and set those other states. Now there's one thing that you have to be careful of. You can magnify or sometimes get the wrong size view if you slightly move the page. So if anything jumps around, here's how we fix this. I'm going to come back to my link tool here and click on that. This has got a link state on it, and that's the only one because we're on the about page going back to the home page at this stage. I'm just going to double click. So I'm on the link tool, clicked here on the link tool, double click, and we can go through and we can click on actions to edit this if something's wrong. So I'll go actions, and what it's saying is I can edit this by just clicking there and I can go edit, but the zoom level fit page. Quite often that isn't. It's going to a slightly different format or version or size. So you just need to make sure you come back here and it says fit page. So it is correct and I'm therefore going to go OK, and I'm happy with that and just go OK again. So at any stage you can go through and edit that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you just lastly, because it's just a matter of repeating the same thing. I've got just a button down here that I might want to use. So just make sure I'm on my links here, and I'm just going to go through here and just link that button. Still retaining the same attributes in terms of how we're going to use the effects of the button. This time I'm just going to go to Open Web Page and go Next. So all we do is just put in your web, http colon / and www, whatever address you want to go to, and it works. So simple as that to put this file together. So in the end, if I just go through and open up my interactive PDF, which is just this completed version here, it's going to basically show and work just like so. Now there's one other thing I said that I've done here, which was basically in the properties, and that's going to go to a full screen mode. Now my screen is a very large 5K screen, so I'm keeping the screen smaller, so it will fill the whole screen, being it on whatever device you want. Now this will not work on iPads or tablets or the phones, so what we're doing is precisely finished at this stage, and it will work nicely on those devices. But if you're working on a PC, a Mac, a Unix, whatever it's on the desktop, you've got a few extra things you can do, which is just basically within this file, you just simply click on the Open in Full Screen Mode and go OK. When you open up, you'll get that, oh, I want to open up in full screen mode. If you want to view and work with some cool animations or effects to give it more of the swipe-like feel, just to showcase it, if you're doing a demonstration, or even using a presentation of this tool, you can simply just go up to Preferences, whether it's the PC Edit Preferences or on the Mac, just straight to Acrobat Preferences. Then you just go to Full Screen, and essentially just down the bottom here, you can change the background color, and you've got all these different transition effects. So especially if you want to do like swipe, or in this case a wipe feel, and you also get, when you choose some, you get different effects, wipe up, wipe down, and essentially that's going to work, but it will only be in full screen mode. You can also go and have it a self-running presentation that people can go and interact with, and it will also run as a slideshow at the same time, so they can click through, or just otherwise it will just continually run. So a great way of doing presentation. So anyway, I'm just going to just cancel that. So that's how you put together an interactive PDF, directly making up an environment for a web test or some interactive or display format, in this case being a mobile device. So thanks for watching movie number 2, the final movie, which will just be putting this whole thing together from Artboards into Adobe XD.